So Bernie Sanders says, "I am not a communist, but maybe Trump doesn't know the difference." Hello and welcome to TST. If you are new to the channel, tap on the subscription button and press the notification bell so you can receive news and updates that you can rely on daily. Democratic presidential hopeful Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont on this week's broadcast of Fox News Sunday accused President Donald Trump of possibly not understanding the difference between communism and socialism. In a video clip, President Trump said, "I think he is a communist. I think of communism when I think of Bernie. You can't say socialist. Did he get married in Moscow?" Sanders said, "It gives me no pleasure to say this. We have a president who is a pathological liar. He lies. No, I did not get married in Moscow. I participated in creating a sister city program." He continued, "Obviously, I am not a communist. I presume the president knows the difference. Maybe he doesn't." Take a watch.
Senator, I just asked Mayor Buttigieg about your charges about him that he's accepting money from billionaires. He says the point is you got to build a coalition and accept money from all sources if you're going to beat Donald Trump. So the question is, are you more interested in purity than you are in winning?
No, I am more interested in transforming this country, in lowering the outrageous cost of prescription drugs, in making sure that every American has health care as a human right, not a privilege, and making sure that our kids can afford to go to college and not leave school deeply in debt. And here is the problem. Everybody knows this, whether you're conservative or progressive. It is the billionaires and the big money interests that control what goes on politically, what goes on legislatively in this country. And if you do, as Mayor Buttigieg does, take huge amounts of contributions from the CEOs of the pharmaceutical industry, from financiers in fossil fuel industry, from the insurance companies, from Wall Street, does anyone seriously believe that you're going to stand up to those powerful entities and represent working people? Chris, I am enormously proud of the fact that my campaign today, as of today, has received more campaign contributions from more people, averaging all of $18.50 than any candidate in the history of the United States of America. We are a campaign of the working class, by the working class, and for the working class. And we are going to take on Wall Street and the insurance companies and the drug companies and the fossil fuel industry, and finally create a government and an economy that works for all of us, not just the 1%.
But Pete Buttigieg, not to take his side in this argument, just to state what his argument is, he says, look, I've put out my platform. I'm going to work for working and middle-class people. If billionaires want to support me, support what I stand for, what's wrong with that?
But, Chris, do you or anybody else in America really believe that if the CEOs of the pharmaceutical industry are making significant contributions to a campaign that they don't know what they are doing? Look, let me be very honest with you. In my view, the drug companies are not only extraordinarily greedy in charging us, in some cases, 10 times more for the prescription drugs that we get as they do in Canada or in any other country. They are corrupt. They engage in price fixing. They engage in collusion. In terms of the opioid epidemic, they were actually selling a product that they knew was addictive and killing people. They continue to do it. Do you think when the CEOs of major pharmaceutical companies contribute to your campaign that you are really going to take them on? I don't think that you will. We have massive levels of income and wealth inequality in America. 3 people own more wealth than the bottom half of America. Do you really think you're going to take on the rich and say, guess what, guys? You're going to finally start paying your fair share of taxes, not as Trump did, give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1% in large corporations. I think common sense suggests that when you take money and you're dependent on billionaires, you're not going to stand up to them. You're not going to effectively represent working families.
Senator, you are, and this picks up right on this conversation, you are getting hit as a democratic socialist, which is how you have identified yourself for decades, by everyone from Joe Biden to Donald Trump. Take a look.
Bernie's labeled himself, not me, a democratic socialist. I think that's the label that the president's going to lay on everyone running with Bernie if he's a nominee.
Well, I think he's a communist. I mean, you know, look, I think of communism when I think of Bernie. Now, you could say socialist, but did he get married in Moscow? And that's wonderful. Moscow's wonderful.
In a general election, I know you laugh.
Look,
I guess you didn't get
Chris, I just want to say something, and it's really sad. It gives me no pleasure to say this. We got a president who is a pathological liar, who lies all the time. No, I did not get married in Moscow. I participated in creating a sister city program with the city of Yaroslavl when I was mayor of the city. We had Republicans with us, people, city officials. So that's a lie. And obviously, I am not a communist, and I presume the president knows the difference. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know.
Okay, but here's the question. In a general election where you're going to need the support not just of liberal, progressive, left-wing Democrats, but you're also going to need the support of independents, even conceivably some moderate Republicans, how do you overcome, not the communist label, but the socialist label, which Joe Biden said, not Donald Trump?
Right. That's fair enough, Chris. And I want to make 2 points on that. Number one, in many respects, we are a socialist society today. We have a huge budget, puts money into all areas. Now, Donald Trump, before he was president, as a private business person, he received $800 million in tax breaks and subsidies to build luxury housing in New York. Now, what does that mean when the government gives you $800 million in tax breaks and subsidies? The fossil fuel industry, whose product happens to be destroying our planet right now, receives tens and tens of billions of dollars in tax breaks and subsidies. So does the pharmaceutical industry. The difference between my socialism and Trump's socialism is I believe that government should help working families, not billionaires. So I believe that health care is a human right. I believe we should raise the minimum wage to a living wage of $15 an hour. I believe, in fact, that the rich must start paying their fair share of taxes when you have massive levels of income and wealth inequality.
But Senator, let me ask you about some aspects, specific aspects of your agenda, and you've just laid out some. Let's put up on the screen some of the things that you are proposing. This is a report from CNN. If you add up your proposal for Medicare for all, and the Green New Deal, and cancellation of all student debt, and a guaranteed federal jobs program, all things that you've proposed, that comes to $60 trillion in new spending over 10 years. Senator, the Congressional Budget Office, nonpartisan estimates, projects that over the next 10 years, right now, the federal government will spend a total of $52 trillion in new spending. Would more than double that.
All right, Chris, let me deal with the issues. First of all, we pay for everything that we propose. In terms of health care, the question that Trump and Joe Biden, anybody else has got to answer. If we leave the status quo alone, in the next 10 years, we're going to be spending $50 trillion. We are now spending twice as much per person, $11,000 a year, as do the people of any other country on earth. We're spending a fortune for health care. And yet we have 87 million Americans uninsured or underinsured. 30,000 die each year because they don't get to a doctor. And unbelievably, 500,000 people go bankrupt because of medically related illnesses. They get cancer, they go bankrupt. That's insane. Medicare for all will cost the average, let me finish. Medicare for all will cost the average American less than the $12,000 a year they are paying right now to the insurance companies. You can call it whatever you want, but when you're paying a premium to the insurance companies, I call that a tax. I end those premiums. We end the copayments.
But Senator, let me get in here. Larry Summers, not a right-wing conservative. He was the Treasury Secretary for Bill Clinton. He was the top economic advisor, one of the top economic advisors for Barack Obama. Yeah. Okay. Here's what he had to say about your plan. This is far more radical than all previous presidencies on either the right, cutting programs, or on the left, building up programs. How do you persuade voters in a general election that you're in the political mainstream?
All right, the sound was interrupted, so I didn't hear everything that you said. But let me just say this, Chris. Every other major country on earth guarantees health care to all people as a human right, and they all spend substantially less per capita. They all pay far less for prescription drugs.
But he's not just talking, sir, but he's not just talking about health care. He's talking about the whole program. He says it's far more radical, either in spending or cutting spending.
Chris, I got it. In terms of climate change, Chris, in terms of climate change, I do propose a lot of money. And you know why? Because the scientists are telling us the future of the planet is at stake. We spend $60 billion dealing with Hurricane Sandy. You see what's happening in Puerto Rico. You see what's happening in Australia right now. What the scientists are telling us is we have an existential crisis. How much do you think it's going to cost when we have more and more extreme weather disturbances? What do you think it's going to cost in food production when we have increased drought? We have got to act to save this planet. And the Green New Deal, by the way, creates up to 20 million good-paying jobs, transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency. But on this issue of climate change, Chris, there are very few options. If we want to save this planet for our kids and our grandchildren, give them a planet that's healthy and habitable, we need a forceful response. That's not Bernie Sanders. That's what the scientific community is telling us. And by the way, it is a disgrace that we have a president who ignores that reality.
The fact that communism is awfully terrible doesn't make socialism a preferable option, does it? You take money from the people who have truly worked hard day and night to be a millionaire and to be proud of the achievement that they truly earned. You're trying to rob them of the fruits of their lifelong achievements before even letting them have its taste? If you find the pharmaceutical companies and the fossil fuel industries to be corrupt, go after them individually if you can prove the corruption. But you cannot simply take away people's hard-earned millions ruling by your socialist views. And that is something smart Americans understand and will definitely go against. Because we all want a great, beautiful life. We all want it. And considering the expenses and all, you sometimes gotta be a millionaire to live in financial solvency. So, how can a person chase that dream when he knows his hard-earned money will be taken away by socialist idiots? Share your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. And haven't you checked out the official Tasty store yet? It has a wide collection of Patriot-themed custom t-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, phone cases, and tons more. Make sure to take a look. Maybe help us out with picking some products for yourself and your loved ones at great prices. It does make a huge difference to what we're doing here. Link in the description below. If you've liked this report, let us know by tapping that like button down below. Share the news among friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more news and updates on TST. I'm David Ravine, and I'll catch you in the next one. Till then, take care.